This literally could be the period of time that reignites your child's passion for learning, and you're a big part of whether that happens or not. So, hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. I hope this video finds you well and doing okay while quarantined for this COVID-19 virus that's going around. Hopefully today's video will bring you some inspiration and kind of let you off the hook a little bit for homeschooling your kids if you have been thrust into that all of a sudden. So I have some notes here. If you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. I just kind of want to make sure I don't ramble on this video. I'm just going to give some general advice, and then I'm going to talk to families who maybe had considered homeschooling prior but just had never actually pulled the trigger and done it. And then I'm also going to talk to families who have no desire to continue homeschooling after this whole quarantine is lifted, and then I'll give you a couple resources at the end to help you through this time.
You look so beautiful, and I'm so lucky to be yours, and you're taking me high.
So the first thing that I want to say is really applicable to anybody, but especially parents who have maybe thought about homeschooling before, and that is, do not use this time as a test run of what it would be like to actually homeschool. For people who don't have any intention of homeschooling past this, just don't use this as like a glimpse into what homeschooling is like, because it is so different from when you actually choose to teach your kids at home. And the kind of analogy that I want to make, like if someone came to you and said, you have to run a marathon next week, that would be way different than a couple months before a marathon happens, you decide for yourself that you would really love to do that. So it's two different things. When you're forced to do something and you don't have a lot of time to prepare, it's not going to go as smoothly as when you have months to prepare, your heart's fully in it, and it's a true desire of yours. So just keep that in mind. First of all, you all had pretty much a weekend to put this all together and to decide to school your kids at home, and that is definitely not how it normally goes. The other thing with that is that if you were going to pull your children out of school on your own accord to homeschool them, you would go through a period of deschooling where you really kind of almost detox from the schedule that they're so used to and live freely and let them kind of like expand their minds a little bit. You wouldn't go straight to rigorous curriculums the next day after you pulled them out. You would kind of give them a period to just de-stress from all of that, and you're not given that opportunity during this quarantine. So those are the two kind of things I want to make sure you just know going up front and as you listen to this video. The next thing I want to talk about, just to kind of ease your mind a little bit and maybe let some of you off the hook a little bit, is that it is almost spring break for most of the kids in this country, no matter what state and what school they go to. There's either a week or two, maybe 3 until spring break. And especially for middle and high school students, once spring break is over, the focus really kind of goes to end of year preparation, whether it's for end of year final exams or standardized testing or whatever the case may be. A lot of it is reviewing for all of that, and there's not a whole ton of new material that is taught. That obviously that's a generalization. There are going to be some instances where that's not the case, but in general that's usually the trend that the school year takes once spring break is done. That, coupled with the fact that even though kids are in school for 6 to 8 hours a day, depending on where they go, they're not actually learning that whole time. There are breaks between classes, there's lunch, there's all of these different things, there's assemblies, whatever it may be, where they're not actively like learning a subject. And so you don't have to sit at home for 6 hours and have your kids work on school. We do homeschool in 2 to 3 hours max each day. Some days even like 1 to 1.5 on the lighter load days where we don't have as much to do. Yes, my girls are 4 and 6, so they don't have as much work to do, but in general, around 3 hours is a good average of many homeschooling families, even with older kids, on how much time it actually takes to get through curriculum and get that done. So don't try to think that you have to do 8 hours a day of schooling, because that is going to overwhelm even the best of us. The next thing that I want to say is that it is okay to form a new routine for your kids. If a lot of kids do thrive on structure and having a certain time and place and where this is going to be, and if that is your kid, then definitely stick to some sort of routine, but don't stress yourself out if it's not exactly matching what your kids do at school. If you want to try doing that, and that schedule that they follow at school is feasible for your family and is not going to affect your mental health and stress you out, then by all means go ahead and do it. But it is totally okay to either create a new routine that works for your family during this time, or to not have a routine at all. Some kids are more free-spirited and like to kind of let the reins loose a little bit, and this might be the perfect time to let them do that, because when they are in school, they don't usually, for most classes, get to do that because they have to be at a certain room or a certain class or whatever it may be at a certain time. So this is a perfect opportunity to let them take the reins a little bit and tell you what they're most excited to learn about, because now you can look into that a little bit more. So maybe your kid absolutely loves ancient history, and in history class it was only glossed over or briefly gone over for a couple weeks and that was it, and they really want to learn more about it. Let them do that. Find YouTube videos about ancient history, look up resources online. There are so many online resources. So find what they love and use that as a teaching tool to be able to kind of rekindle the passion and the fire that they should have for learning, because that will take them so much further than memorizing information will. The core subjects are the most important to focus on right now. So my advice would be to do math, reading, writing, and then let them choose 1 or 2 other subjects, again, that they're passionate about. So if they really hate science and you try to force them to do science during this time, it's not only going to cause a rift between you, it's going to cause everybody to be stressed out, and it's going to take away even more any love of learning that they have inside them. So find things that they're passionate about, subjects that they're passionate about, have them do a little math, of course, each day, have them read each day, and have them practice their writing, whatever level that may be. It might be, you know, younger, first grader, where they're practicing handwriting, or you might want to teach them cursive, because I know in a lot of schools they're not doing that right now. Or if they're older, maybe writing a summary of something that they've read, or a journal entry each day on how their quarantine is going, or maybe each day you can give them a topic and they can write a paragraph about that topic and go from there and build it into a complete essay over the course of a week or something like that. So have them do a little bit each day, and don't force it, because that's not going to do anybody any good. So now I'm going to specifically talk to the people who have considered homeschooling and might just kind of make that decision now that this quarantine has happened. You have decided or are thinking about deciding to continue the homeschooling process. If that is you, I mentioned earlier in this video, take a detox period. If your kid is not going to be going back to school, then you definitely want to let them just breathe for a little bit. You want to maybe have conversations with them, be open with them about the decision that's being made, see how they feel about it, talk them through how they feel about it, and maybe have them give some input and ideas on how you can structure your own homeschooling system, and have them be part of that so that they feel like they're not being told and yanked and not having any decision in the matter. Once you've done that detox period, which 2 weeks to a month, it depends on kind of how reliant that your child became on a schedule and things like that, then at that point you can use that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever you decide to do, to research curriculum and watch a ton of YouTube videos. There are so many on there, and that's how I got started on different ways people do things, because every single homeschool journey looks different. And so it's a great idea to pull ideas from different people that you see and use those that you think you're going to work in your homeschool. But then if they don't end up working, it's totally okay to switch it as well. So it's very flexible, and it's really helpful to include your kids in that decision as well. If you are a parent who has no desire to homeschool and your kids will definitely be going back to whatever school that they were in before all of this happened, then I recommend, again, like I mentioned before, sticking with the main subjects and having them learn at least a little each day. Don't have them sitting in front of a screen all day long, because that is not good for anybody. Definitely limit the screen time, like is always recommended, but definitely even more so now, which is going to be harder because they're home more. But get them involved in things and let their creativity and curiosity kind of come out. And it might be harder for, it's going to be harder for some than it is for others, but this literally could be the period of time that reignites your child's passion for learning, and you're a big part of whether that happens or not. So let this be a time where you fuel their love of learning, get creative with it, and let them kind of be in the driver's seat a little bit, because a little bit of control goes a long way when it comes to kids who have been on a rigid schedule and not really had any input on where to go and what to do each day while they're at school. Now, as for resources, I know that a lot of teachers have sent home packets with kids to do, or they are teaching virtually, which is awesome. Some schools don't have that capability, or maybe it's not really a lot of stuff that's going on, and so you're looking for some extra resources to be able to use. If your kids are younger, I recommend readingeggs.com. We use this for our homeschooling for math and reading curriculum, and it starts at 3 years old and goes all the way to 12 or 13. But it is awesome because it has reading, some writing, because there's worksheets to print out as well that goes along with the online lessons, which the online lessons are like games, so the kids love them. And then there's language arts, spelling, grammar, and then Math Seeds obviously has math as well. So you can log on there, click the link down below in the description, and you'll get it for 30 days for free, which is amazing right now too. And your kids will take a placement test and see what level they should be at, and then they'll just get started from there. You can print out the worksheets that go along with those levels, and that way they can have like the screen, but they can also have handwriting practice as well. Knock out two birds with one stone. So if you have younger kids, that's definitely a good one for that. Obviously, YouTube is a great resource for any age kids for things like history and science and things like that. And there are a ton of resources going around, lists going around right now of all the free resources and companies that are offering free 30-day, 60-day trials, whatever it may be, to be able to use during this time. So search those out and find the ones that work best for the way your kid learns. If you have an older kid, hands down 100%, I recommend Khan Academy. It's Khan, and it's completely free all the time, not just now. And you can go on there and learn math, science, history, grammar, and SAT prep are 5 of the ones that they have on there that I know a lot of people could benefit from. And math, there's all levels of math from elementary all the way up as high as you can go. So it's definitely got what you need. There are video lessons for each section, and then there are little quizzes and problems that you do to kind of test your understanding of it. You just log in and create a free account and you're all set. So that's a great one. And they do have younger ages there too, but I just like Reading Eggs for the younger ages because it's more fun for them and they actually want to get on there and do it instead of like dreading it. So for our girls, Reading Eggs and Math Seeds, when they get to do their online lesson, that's kind of like one of the last things they do each day. So it's like their reward for getting all of their other work done. I hope this gave you some helpful information, helped ease your mind a little bit. I know it's got to be stressful. It hasn't changed our daily schedule too much other than activities being canceled, but even with that, it has added a little bit more on my plate. So I can't even imagine going from having your kids at school to now teaching them in a weekend. I am sending positive vibes your way, and feel free to leave comments down below and ask me any questions that you have. I will answer them as quickly as I possibly can. But for now, remember to stay humble, be kind, and I will see you next time.
Jump into the car.